to another episode of Footballin with Ben Roethlisberger. My name is Spence, and as always, I am joined here with two-time Super Bowl champion Ben Roethlisberger.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up,
Welcome
Ben?
back, Spence.
Hey, welcome back.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it is good to see you.
I'm a little sleepy.
You're tired.
I am tired.
Yeah.
I feel like we say that a lot on the show, though.
We're tired people, you and I.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is true.
You might be asking why I'm tired,
Why are you tired?
just in case you're going to ask.
I was.
Because I got up at 4:50 this morning.
For what?
I took Benjamin turkey hunting.
Did you guys get anything?
We did. Well, he did.
So you didn't.
I didn't.
You
He
caddying?
did. I was a guide.
Yes.
Maybe the second best guide I know. But no, it was fun. We got up early this morning. Went turkey hunting. The good thing is we were up at 4:50. We were in the blind by like 5:30, and by 6:15 he had already shot a bird. It was awesome.
That's talent.
It was one. Oh wait, I forgot, we have a guest, by the way. Do we want to mention the guest?
Yeah, I think that's going to be wildly important.
Is it?
Because this is probably single-handedly the most requested guest
Absolutely.
on this show.
This is going to break the internet, I think.
This is like, so I don't get nervous very often.
Me either.
When you told me that this guest was coming on, I was like, oh no, I got to do my hair. I was like, oh no,
Usually you have a hat on.
Yeah, I usually have a hat on. Yes.
I was thinking to myself like, okay, like what do I wear? And then I just put a t-shirt on.
Yeah, well, and honestly,
And my Matthews hat.
it looks great. You look fantastic.
Evan, this is the only picture Evan asked for, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
I do not blame him. If this wasn't being documented, I would have asked for a picture too. But I'm sitting.
And the best thing would be if this was live, people wouldn't be like, "Who is it? Who is it?"
But
the problem is they all know who it is because they look at the caption that says who it is. So not as much fun. But ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Hall of Fame Coach Bill Cowher. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
It is great to be here, and as I would have expected, you were wearing a T-shirt and a hat.
That's right.
Being a nonconformist didn't tell me anything about the dress code. The second thing is, I like. Can I just point this out?
Yes.
Look at the beer glass I got, and look at the beer glass that Ben got.
Same level.
Well, no, it's not the same level. It's bigger. So I think this is his first.
Well, you said, "I guess I'll have a beer." When you say, "I guess I'll have a beer," I thought you just want a little fella.
I mean, I just thought I'd have the same kind of beer you'd have, or at least the same glass you would have. This is the first time a chance to get back at me. I knew there was going to be something that would come out of the blocks. All the years we had those conversations, uncomfortable at times they may have been, but now it gives me a small glass, Spence. That's okay. I'm good. I'm good.
Coach, we have to apologize because we are not good at getting our guests beers because last episode we did, Ryan asked for a Yingling.
Ryan Shazier on.
And he asked for a Yingling, and we still have not given him a Yingling.
We forgot to give it to him.
Well, you can't even. You told me you can't ask for a beer. You're going to give me the beer.
We are. We're going to give you beers at some point.
Yes.
And I gave you this just as like a
This
little
was a
sampler.
request. That was.
Yes. That's the banquet. Everyone knows we have the Yellow Belly on tap. And
yes,
I do like tap beer though. I do.
Well, it's not the high class Stella that you have. It's just Coors Banquet.
You'll get
Hall of Famers get Stella.
Yeah, you have a gold jacket.
You'll get there. You'll get there. You're working your way up. I'm telling you. It's not like your first season you go 15-1. Like this is like you're probably kind of in that.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay,
but that's going to have to get in some. We were the reason we got so blessed, Spence.
Why is that?
Is because besides the coaches here, I don't know. I just texted you. I said sometimes, hey, come to the show sometime. Right. And you're like, I'm coming in town because I'm giving the commencement at Duquesne, which you did.
Yes.
And then Troy got honored last night, which was an amazing event at the Mel Blount Youth Home Institute.
Yeah.
Youth Home, how do they say it? But Mel Blount puts on an amazing. I mean, they have what he does is amazing for the kids and all that, and the youth home that he has and has all those kids out there. But they do a big gala fundraiser, black tie thing. And Troy got honored last night, which was really cool.
It was really cool.
And you were here, and we're like, let's get you on at the same time. Yeah. So that's how we got lucky. But last night was really cool, wasn't it, for Troy?
It was so cool. I mean, I think it was the first time they've come together in almost 3 years because of the pandemic, right? And I think they had more people there than they've ever had in the past. They said actually the last one they had had half the people. Wow. And it was just really cool to get in there and like all the guys. I'm sitting there and saying, oh my gosh, I see James Harrison, I see you, I see Casey Hampton.
You saw half of Casey Hampton. Skinny Casey Hampton.
Unbelievable, right?
Yes.
I told him I saw him I actually saw him this morning in the gym, and I says, man, if you were like this shape when you were playing for me, you might have played 3 downs. I said, he played 2 downs and he'd have to run off. I said,
they used to call him the big snack. Now he just looks like carrot stick snacks, like carrots and celery snacks.
I mean,
Veggie that's what he
looks good. But it was good to see obviously, and there's a lot of the '70s guys there.
Yes,
seeing all those guys.
Shell and Joe Green. Come on, I mean, you talk about iconic, man. That's
so funny. Joe's he is. Whenever you see him, it's like I shake his hand with 2 hands, and he still about breaks my hand every time. It's amazing. I'll say this, Spence. I would say this about probably a lot of those guys, but I to this day I'll say Joe Green and Mel Blount specifically.
Yeah.
If you asked them to go play 1 or 2 downs, they could still do it.
No question.
Joe would grab a hold. Mr. Green would grab a hold of someone with those hands, and that lineman's not moving.
No.
I mean, he could do some stuff, and I still think Mel. I mean, as big as he is. You're a stud, Spence. No, we talked to Spence. Spence doesn't know a lot about sports, so it's fun. That's why we get along like this.
Yes, very little.
So we're like, this is fun. We get to educate him as we talk about it. But when they make a rule in the NFL because of you, you're a stud.
Yeah, he was
you couldn't put he was the reason that passing you couldn't check or hold. I mean, he was just like. You're not going.
That's not fair. That guy's too good.
Yeah, he's too big. He's a huge.
I mean, you see him right now. I mean, Mike, and you figure, what position did you play? Were you a tight end? Were you a linebacker? Or maybe a lineman that maybe lost some weight? Yes. Oh, I played corner. Huh? Pardon? Corner, and he still wears that cowboy hat as if it's like. I mean, it's just
you can see him as an out. Could you imagine an outside rusher? He's an outside linebacker right now.
Oh, totally. I mean, he'd be a great nickelback. You imagine bringing him playing in a nickel defense right now? I mean, you could just the things you could do.
Back then, did they blitz much? Did he blitz at all?
With that front 4, they didn't have to blitz.
Right?
No.
So could you imagine bringing him off the edge if you had to on a corner blitz or something?
Oh,
he'd kill somebody.
But I think I don't think those 4 guys up front would if you asked them to drop in the coverage, they'd say no.
True. Hey Joe, we're gonna have you drop it. I'm sorry. Who's gonna tell Joe Green to drop?
No. So I don't think it was even an option.
That's fun. But it was so good to see everybody. To see you. We obviously. I think the last time I saw you was probably doing a game or something.
Yeah, well, I think it was at the Hall of Fame, and we sat there on the sideline, and we started talking, and we were talking about Chase Claypool and everybody else. And
that's right.
You were just there. As a matter of fact, I told Mike, let me call defense, and I called a blitz, and he goes, that's what I was going to call too. I said, great minds think alike. So I said, let me see your call sheet. They had 4 defenses. I go, wow, okay, that's not okay. There's 1 zone, 1 man, 1 blitz. I said, so okay, I'll pick the blitz.
Yeah, of course you will. Yes. Was speaking of the Hall of Fame, when you got when Mr. Baker came, were you truly you had no clue? You were on set.
So they voted the Thursday before, and I was just trying to call some people. Did you hear anything? They go, I haven't heard anything. I said, well, maybe I'll hear by Friday. And so it was Friday, and I still didn't hear anything. So I remember getting up Saturday morning. It was a night game, and I was having with my wife. I said, I said, V, I don't think I'm getting in. I said, I think I'd have heard something by now. I said, no, I'm okay with that. I said, whatever. I said, I just want to make my case was presented. It's not good enough. It's okay. So I go into the production meeting, and no one asked me if I've even heard anything. So I'm going now I know I'm not getting in. Or give me that respective silence. Yeah. They don't want to ask because they're probably thought, I'm not getting in. I told Pat Kerwin, I go, Pat, I don't think I'm getting in. He goes, I haven't heard anything. I go, I don't think I'm getting in. I'm fine with it. I said, I'm good. I'm good. So I really, after the production meeting, for sure didn't think I was getting it. And then we're getting out there, and
were you really fine, or was there a little bit of you that was a little
Oh, I was talking myself into being fine. I still thought, man, you can compare all you want, but let me just tell you the facts. I said, I says, you look at the quarterbacks that we won with, and I says, Ben was the best one we've had, but I only had him for 3 years, and 2 of those years, we went to a championship game, won a championship. I said, and the other one was, I said, if Ben doesn't get into an accident, I'm not so sure we don't go back to back. I said, we start off 6-2 or 2-6 and end up 6-2. I said, but that's fine. I said, before that, the most wins I had was with Cordell Stewart. And I said, we at the time, 15 years, nobody won more games than we did when I was in Pittsburgh, than anybody in the league, ever. And I said, we lost a bunch of championship games, and I get that. But I said, that's okay. But I said, that's besides the fact. I said, I probably wasn't the guy that was the greatest with the media at the time. I was short at times, and when people didn't ask and asked dumb questions, I
gave him dumb answers.
Yeah, I gave him no answer, or a very short, terse answer. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think? Are you happy about the? Are you happy? I'm not happy when we lose. No, there's nothing I'm happy about. What are you guys' favorite? I says, no. I says, next question. What do you want to know?
Yes,
but I did come to grips, and it was a special class that was going in, but. When when it came, I said, also I saw Sean McManus, David Burson come out when we're doing this. I was doing the one of the remotes that we do, and we're breaking it down to the eye vision that we're going to do on the TV. I was with we're going to do it on Lamar Jackson. So all of a sudden I see these guys come out, and it's with Phil. I go, Phil, let's go. This will be good. We're going to do this on this back wall. So I'm thinking, okay, make sure to look at my notes about Lamar and like everything else. Okay, we're going to do this eye vision on Lamar. And all of a sudden, Phil goes in, because before we do this on Lamar, because we're going on, and he goes, David Baker would like to have something to say to you. And I look over, and I'm seeing David Baker, and everything's just flashing in my head. I'm going, no, he knocks on doors. Like he's supposed to knock on a door.
Yeah.
And he says, what are you doing? I go, and he goes, okay, no, come back. I come back. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I go, don't go. Okay, I won't say anything. I'm like, wow, but then I look over and I see my wife and my daughter. I'm going, oh my God. I said, you knew this. Afterwards, I go, you knew this morning when I said that. And she goes, no, they called me like an hour before.
No way.
Because they knew that no one could keep a secret. So
that would be a tough one.
So she goes, no. He goes, and Megan just happened to be like 2 blocks away. She was with her girlfriends, and I said, so she came in, and I told, like an hour before the thing. So I'm like, wow. So I went home that night, and I mean, it was a night game. We had to do the doubleheader. We had the early game the next day. But I said, can I just for 1 minute, one night? So I sat there that night with V, and I said, give me a beer and give me a scotch. I said, I usually don't drink before. I said, but I got to have a. I go. This. I'm still processing this. This is like.
Wow.
This is amazing. And so it was. I had one scotch and one beer that night, and wife, she went to bed. I go, just let me sit here for a second by myself, please. And I sat there just to try to process and just think, man, you think about. But I always thought about it. I said, I know if I wouldn't have stayed here, if I'd have stayed here, it would have been a no-brainer. When I left here, I thought, I probably walked away from the Hall of Fame career. Wow. Because I know this was a team that was going to win. We could have won, and as you did, 3 years later again. Yeah. But we built that team, and it was a special team. And I knew when I walked away, it was really hard. Yeah. But I had to do it for personal reasons for my wife at the time. But man, that thing was like, it was a well-oiled machine. Just don't screw it up. I mean, and it was, and I enjoyed having our conversations. I enjoyed having people who have to earn the right to be able to come in and give me your input on things. Yeah, we had certain guys that we did, and everyone's going to play special teams, whether you like it or not. I'm going to make you cover a kick.
He didn't make me. I didn't have to cover a kick.
No,
there's still time for you, Ben. I think if you can get up there.
I thought about it though. I said, he's a big, long guy, pretty good athlete. I said,
always thinking special teams.
I said, this guy could probably block a punt. I can get him coming up the middle right there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, that's really good. Evan, come on. I don't know if you keep holding.
So this is what. So this is the food part.
We're gonna get into this. We're gonna have Evan's gonna actually give us all 3 things, and he's gonna explain each one of them to us because a couple of these things were unique.
Evan, this is.
All right, Evan, get on your mic and tell us what we have.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. He's so nervous.
Evan's my favorite person on this podcast.
By the way, Evan has a cult following. Like people want more Evan on our show, on the thing.
It's like the cowbell in that Saturday
night. More cowbell.
Yeah,
more cowbell.
All right, talk to us.
Okay, we'll start with the sandwich, which it's a little bigger than a slider, but it is kibasi, like a Pittsburgh staple right there with some Iron City beer cheese.
Wow.
Little peppers and onions. Yeah. And then next to that is the hot dog burnt ends. So it's like burnt ends, you
told me that was a Kansas City thing, right?
No. Burnt ends are Kansas City.
Burnt ends are Kansas City.
This is a hot dog.
Yeah, it's a hot dog. So I did
burnt ends because you were in Kansas City. He likes to go up even though it's not hot dog, just it's burnt ends.
I love hot dogs. Twist. I want you to know that.
I love hot dogs.
Look at this.
So that makes 2 of us.
Okay.
And then the last one, I don't know if I will pronounce it correctly, but chicken spiadini.
Okay.
I believe it's also a Kansas City thing. It's
checks out for me.
It's marinated chicken and then tossed in breadcrumbs, Romano cheese, and made with a garlic lemon butter sauce.
Whoa,
probably awful,
man.
Probably.
Wow.
Evan.
Yes.
That looks amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan.
Sir, do you have a question for Coach?
I don't.
You're too nervous?
Yeah.
You can text me your question if you want.
Okay.
Or just wander back down.
Evan, you know that your family's going to watch this.
Yes.
And they're going to be mad at you for not asking a question.
Where are you from, Evan?
84 Pennsylvania.
84.
Washington County.
84 lumber, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down around those parts.
Yeah.
Parts.
Wow. Where'd you go to high school?
Ringgold
High School.
Shout out.
Okay. Wow. Joe Montana. Yeah.
That's where Joe?
Ken Griffey Senior.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Stan
Some
Musial.
athletes.
It's my 3 favorite athletes. Evan.
And 4.
Yeah.
Me?
Stan Musial, Joe.
And me.
Yeah, Evan. Ken Griffey Sr.
As I run out of breath going up the stairs.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Evan. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Evan.
it very
Thank
much.
you. Wow.
This ought to be.
That looks amazing.
So he tries. So what he does is he kind of researches the person that's coming,
Yeah.
and then does like wherever they played or where they come from, does a little something special.
Kansas
he had told
City.
me. He said Kansas City does burnt
Yeah.
ends, and I was like, I've never had a burnt end. And he goes, I do a burnt end with hot dogs. I'm like, okay, fine.
Prove it. Yeah. They typically with pork, right? Like pork belly or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Coach, we typically sample beers throughout the show. That's something that Ben and I did before we started filming this. We would hang out. We would sample beers as a fun thing, so we incorporate it into the show. And so we'll do that not only to try new and exciting beers, but also to support local breweries. Now, I know you have a beer there, but I figured if you're going to eat some Pittsburgh-themed food,
right,
it would make sense to have a Pittsburgh-themed beer. And
Yeah.
I can't think of a better one.
Wow.
Than one that dons your face on it.
Oh.
So I thought we'd have some beer inception with the cow power.
Yeah,
Iron City.
So Ben, you did a lot of great things. You did a lot of great things on the football field, but until you get your face on a beer can, I just
Hall of Famer. Let's correct this. This is for us. We're not saying this is for us to drink.
Just
with our
enjoy.
And we don't want a glass. This is one of those ones you drink this out of the can.
Absolutely.
Yes. You don't disservice.
Power here.
God, man,
You want to taste the aluminum. Yes.
It's got a good flavor. It's just
Well, make sure you put me to the camera.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
What do you think about the dog?
It is awesome.
That's good.
Really good.
You do chicken.
What's that?
Okay.
No. I worked out this morning. This is the first thing I've eaten all day, and I just want you to know this is really good.
Well, there you go.
This is actually healthy too.
Yeah, I know.
For sure. This is all like we make sure when you were coming in we went extra healthy because you're getting up there in age and stuff. Close to 70, right?
65. I'll be 66 actually on Monday.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. There's 2 more days, May 8th.
So you're close.
Evan, we need a cake.
Get the birthday cake down here.
Mom, Nemo's.
So you were just not serious right now. You were in here doing the Duquesne commencement as well.
Yes, I did.
What's the connection to Duquesne?
So the Duquesne connection, well, number one is Dan Rooney went to school there.
Okay.
And my father went to school there. And how about, ironically enough, my Dan Rooney entered Duquesne as a freshman in 1950. My father graduated in 1951. So in the year 50-51, they walked the same campus. They did not know each other, which is really...
They did not know each other.
No. My dad went in the service right from high school, and 6 years later entered college. So he graduated, he was 29. And so it was... so they were on the same school. And then, like I told before, I said, I grew up going down to watching the Duquesne Dukes play. Like, I remember as a kid going down to Civic Arena. They played at Civic Arena. I was telling you before. We'd get down.
They were good.
They were really good. I mean, Billy Zoff, Jared Durham, Mickey Davis, Nelson Twins, Barry and Gary, Mo Barr, Jack Wachowski would come in off the bench. But the three of us, my 2 buddies, and I love basketball, we'd get on a Pat bus from Crafton, and we'd take the Pat bus down, and we try to sneak into the arena. And I says, if you didn't get into the arena, they would open the doors by halftime, so you could always see the second half. But we would like all go our own separate ways at different gates. And then, and like once, you keep going from one gate to another, and you end up with we're all sitting there. Then if you lost one of the guys, they got in. And one of the best ways of getting in, we've realized, was when you see a family come, walk behind the family. So when the dad gives all the tickets, you kind of just get right in there. And then once you get right into the gate, you go, Mom. Like, and so you run in there like you're the kid that like just lost their parent.
This is so well thought out. I love it.
So it was, and then if one got in, the other two didn't, and then you just talk about it was the greatest half of basketball you've ever seen.
Should have been there.
Should have been. If you'd have been there, man. Oh, too bad you didn't get in.
100 the first half. You missed it. Well, that's awesome.
That's so good.
Sneaking into games.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That is amazing to me.
Well, that's because you're obviously a Pittsburgh guy. How did you end up down in North Carolina? NC State, excuse me.
NC State. So I think I was 6'3", about 200 pounds, very skinny. I took a bunch of trips and nobody went offer me a scholarship. And so I only had 2 scholarship offers, actually. One was from William & Mary and one was NC State. And they had a bunch of North Carolina. William & Mary. And then Lou Holtz was the coach down at NC State my freshman year. So I think they had a bunch of extra scholarships, to be quite honest with you. I don't think that, Pitt didn't offer me a scholarship. Penn State did not offer me a scholarship. So every time we played them when I was in school, I would pull out the letter that says, sorry, we can't offer you something. So I kept all those letters. And my last game, actually, ironically enough, at NC State was against Pitt in the Tangerine Bowl. And we beat Pitt. And how'd
that feel?
In my freshman year, we beat Penn State. When I was at NC State, and I was actually playing in the games because a couple of guys got hurt at inside linebacker, so I played as a freshman. And so it felt great.
Nothing sweeter, right?
Nothing better than to beat people who think you can't even play for them.
Yes,
right?
I hear you.
So
I hear you.
As you know, we try to make everything personal.
Yes, we do. That is very true.
So that seems to be a phrase I've heard come out of a lot of former players, that making things personal. Is that I've been reading your book, which I will say, phenomenal. If you've not, Heart and Steel, that's a phenomenal. I started reading it because you were coming on the show, and as I was reading, I was like, even if you weren't coming on the show, and I had no context for who you were, I'm like, that's a phenomenally written book.
You know what? What's the book is about is a memoir. It's more than football. It's about life. It's about the ability to transition from one phase of life to another. I went from a player, got cut, going to coaching and taking a pay cut. Marty Schottenheimer called me up. I was the special teams captain with the Eagles in my 5th year. But I knew I was like one injury away from being out. So he goes, no. He goes, what are you going to make next year? I said, I'm going to make $150. He goes, well, you're going to work 3 times as much and make 3 times less. I'm going to offer you $50,000 to be the special teams coach. And he goes, let me know by Friday. I go, well, he goes, let me know by Friday. He hung up. I go, well, so much for negotiations. So I said, Marty, so I said, so I did. I went with him, coached the special teams for 2 years in Cleveland. I coached the defensive backs. He made me be a defensive back coach. I had to learn that position. I did that for 2 years. And then Marty got fired in '89, and ironically, Bill Belichick offered me a job to go with Bill Parcells to be the defensive back coach, up to the Giants. But Marty got the job in Kansas City, so I ended up going to Kansas City, and I ended up coaching the linebackers and being a coordinator. Bill Belichick moved the defensive backs and hired Al Groh to come to be the linebacker coach. So him and I actually got together in '89 for an afternoon. I said, you talk to me about linebacker play, I'll talk to you about defensive back play. I flew to New York, spent an afternoon together just kind of sharing ideas and, drills and everything else, concepts.
Was that common back then?
Huh?
Was that common back then?
Yeah, it was because I was in Kansas City, he was with the Giants. Okay. So we were like 2 different divisions. It didn't matter. So if we had common opponents, we would talk to each other. And then in '91, the Browns were looking for a coach. Bill was just coming off the Super Bowl, but Art Modell loved it when I was coaching there, so he wanted to bring me back in. So I went in there, and I was 33 years old, 32 actually at the time, and he and it was between me and Bill Belichick. He got the job in '91. Well, the next year, I go to Pittsburgh. I'm 34, and Bill and I end up now. We went from coaching friendships to an adversaries, and we didn't talk the entire time. Like one time when he was in Cleveland, I was in Pittsburgh. So it was, and I went back. I'm going back home. 34 years old. I tell the story. I said my first goal was not to get fired the first 3 years. I wanted to go back to my 20th high school class reunion as a head coach of my hometown team.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Did you know? I didn't. Marty was from. Is he from Pittsburgh area or
From Fort Cherry?
like? So did you know him at all before any of this stuff?
No.
Wow, that's.
But
He's like your. I mean, would you call him your mentor, right? I mean.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. He meant everything to me. As the two guys I said that really the most influential people in my football career were Marty Schottenheimer and Dan Rooney.
Yeah.
Dan Rooney was just
pretty good people.
Yeah. So
I was fortunate to get to know Coach Schottenheimer a little bit, and then obviously his son a little bit more. But yeah, obviously not the level you did. But I figured that just always seemed like he did it the right way, and just was.
Yeah, he was. He was always, and he wasn't afraid to kind of like he let you know how he felt. Like
well, that's where you guys are different then.
We're gonna have to talk about those Monday morning meetings, Ben, at some point.
Listen, Spence? What do you think of the burnt ends or hot dog things?
Brother, they ain't even here anymore. They're gone. Yeah,
the chicken's really good too.
Yeah, the hot dogs were amazing.
The chicken is outstanding.
Yeah, the slider with the icy light beer cheese.
I'm trying to get into that for sure.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm so interested.
Have you had
in
that
this
yet?
guy. No. I'm about to try it.
Was that last game in college there, Coach? Was that kind of the genesis of the make it personal mantra or belief system?
No, I think, and Ben will tell you, like I think I try to create, and for me it was like that was my whole life has been that. Like I felt, I got 2 scholarship offers. I started early, it's just like people that doubted you, like man, just go ahead. Keep doubting me, oh, you can't win this, you can't. Okay, I'm going to be like Freddy Krueger, your worst nightmare. Like I'm going to keep coming back and back and back.
I love that. It seems quintessentially Pittsburgh to me. It seems like, hey, I'm going. Everything that I achieve will be because I got my hands dirty, I did the work, and overcame adversity.
Totally.
So I'm waiting for the movie of your.
Yeah, no. I said, I had a paper route when I was 8, and I worked in the steel mill. My brothers put themselves through college. My dad was great, tough, but it's like, you're going to get knocked down, but don't, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Get yourself back up. It's like, don't dwell in self-pity, and so it's like,
it's
you won't be defined by that, but how many times you get knocked down, you'll be more defined by how many times you continue to get back up. That'll be who you are. Be resilient, right?
Yeah, I mean. Sounds like your dad was making a coach at a very young age. That's what it sounds like.
While you tried did you eat the sandwich yet?
No,
it was really good. I have 2 questions that are both related to a football game that just came to mind, and one of them actually came from Evan. Evan just texted me.
Yes, Evan.
I know. That sandwich is really good, by the way. I think.
It's really good.
So Sue, I'm going to ask while you're chewing that and thinking about it, because you're going to want to come up with a good response to these questions. Okay.
Okay.
Did you spill on yourself, Coach?
No, it's just cheese.
Usually I'm the one spilling things.
He spills the beer all the time.
It'll probably happen today.
That's all.
Okay, here we go. The first question is mine because this Evan's question made me think about it. I want to get your reaction to the Jerome Bettis coin flip. Since Jerome wouldn't come on the show, he was supposed to come on the show.
He won't come on?
He was supposed to. He's like, I'm coming in town for the week for Troy's thing. I said, let me know when you're going to be here. Well, I'll work around your schedule. Go whenever you want. And he didn't. So anybody out there that knows Jerome
is he still here? Did he leave already?
Who knows? He's selfish. He ducks me in golf because he's afraid to play me in golf and he's afraid to come on the show. So Jerome, keep ducking.
Let me talk. I got to talk to him.
Yeah,
okay, I'll talk to him.
The coin flip.
Yeah.
And then these are actually 2 kind of controversial things. The next one that Evan wanted to know about, and he said don't get mad at him, was when you put the picture of
I was dying to ask that. I'm so glad Evan did.
So those are the 2 things that, Evan know that, and I thought about the Jerome thing as you did it. So
okay, so I'm going to Which one of these? Let me start with God bless Gordon McCarter is his name, the official. He's no longer with us, and unfortunately, I mean, it was really sad because when Gordon McCarter passed away, I feel like the first thing he said, "Oh, who's Gordon McCarter? Oh, he's a guy that Coach Cowher stuffed the thing into this thing." I said, "Man, that's not a way to be remembered. I mean, that's just not right." So, well, it was a case at the time. They missed the field goal against the Minnesota Vikings. And flag comes out and it says we got 12 guys in the field. And I'm like, 12 guys in the field, and everyone's still there. I mean, I can still go, whoa. And then guys start walking over. I go, wait, just stop.
No one move.
I go, stop. I just want to make sure, no one come off, nobody go on. Just it's a lot of 11 guys, and then he comes over, and then at that time it's like now people are kind of milling around real close to the sideline, so you really couldn't tell if anyone. So I'm going. I called timeout. I says, whoa, that's and all of a sudden I'm saying we don't. He goes. I said, I can't review this? And they go, no, it's not reviewable. And I says, well, let me just see. And all of a sudden they're talking, and the guy hands me the Polaroid, and I'm looking at Polaroid. I'm going because they're saying I know that. I'm like, all right, who did go out there? Kevin Green. I said, were you out there? No. I go, all right, somebody's tell me the truth. I'm not going to go on it, but tell me the truth. If somebody was out there, if there's 12 guys, let me know. Tell me now.
I'm not going to fight for you off. I'm not
going to make sure no make it look a fool. So I got the Polaroid, and then I got really mad. I said, Gordon, come here. I said, I know you can't look down. I said, just do the right thing. I said, it was not a penalty. He goes, well, he said, I know he heard from the other side. He's on the side of the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think they're going to say? Hey, they said, oh, yeah. Well, no, they only had 11. Now, they're not going to correct you. I said, and so they kick the field goal the second time. They make it. We run off. And I says, here, just take this and you can check it and you can check the video. Check it at halftime when you're in the locker room. And I ran back, and the true story about that is after the game, my daughter came up and said, Daddy, I'm so glad you did that to that official. And I said, oh, no, Lauren, your dad was wrong. You don't show people up like that. I said, your dad was wrong. But he was wrong too. I go, he was wrong, but two wrongs do not make a right. So it was a great teaching moment for me with them.
Did he ever admit that? Did you ever get a letter or anything? Because sometimes on Monday mornings,
I got a letter. It says you're fined $12,000. Yeah. That's the letter I got. You're fined $12,000 for touching an official. I go, okay. Well, how about the fact that I was right? Let's let the facts stand in the way of a good.
That's irrelevant, Coach Cowher.
Because sometimes the league writes a letter the next day. We made
right.
this. He said, yeah, I got a letter.
But then Jerome Bettis' story. I mean, this was a classic. And that was 1998. We were 7-4 at the time, and it was a Thanksgiving Day game. We'd gone to playoffs 6 straight years, on our way to go into a 7th straight year. Well, we go into overtime.
That was Thanksgiving. Was that a Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving
Day?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Everyone's brothers watching.
Yeah. So they go out. They do the coin flip, and I'm on the sideline. I don't know what's going on. Okay, and that was when at the time. You didn't get the ball once. I mean, whoever got the coin flip was huge. So the coin lands, and he says, "Okay, Detroit ball." And all of a sudden, I see Jerome going, "No," and Carnell Lake, "No, that's not right." He called tails, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And the official, Phil Luckett. I mean, these are two. God bless them both. I mean, but Phil Luckett goes, Coach, I go, what happened? And Carnell goes, Coach, I heard Jerome call tails. And Phil Luckett goes, no, he called heads. And I said, well, I go, what do you want me to do? I go, it's like two kids coming in, and I got Carnell Lake and Jerome Bettis, two guys I would leave my kids with. I would trust them to the end, right? And they're both going, I called tails, and Phil goes, they called heads. I'm going, okay, you're both like, what? I don't know. I wasn't there. Okay, what do you want me to do? Okay, settle something. That's like your kids running in from the outside. Yeah. Hey, Daddy, so and so did this. Oh, I don't know who did what. Right? So then we lose. So they get the ball. They come back. They kick a field goal. Charlie Batch was the quarterback at the time.
Chuck.
And the truth be told, we lost every game after that. From that game on, we lost the next 4 games and ended up 7-9. And so I blame Jerome Bettis.
Absolutely.
For that.
If he would come on the podcast,
if he'd come on, he could defend himself.
Absolutely. We're just going to tear him down. Just chop him down. Jerome, you know what you call. Don't lie.
I can't tear him
He
down.
he did go head tails.
Head tails.
Head tails.
Well, that's obviously that has to be one of the reasons now why it's called before it flips, and you know the extra official standing there, and they're so careful now.
Both those stories actually do have consequences because you do have you call that, and there was a period of time they took the pockets off officials after that thing.
No way.
There was for a couple of years they took the pockets off, so which is probably a good idea.
You altered the uniform.
Yeah, that's what we said. Mel Blunt, changed the rule by being too physical. He changed the rule for stuffing pictures pockets.
Yeah.
So I got the uniform changed.
Those are iconic moments.
Do you think if it was during the game, because it was halftime, right? So you guys were running in the locker room.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, would you have done it? And would you have got a penalty?
I would not have run on the field during the game, but after the game, I would have given him the same photo.
Yeah.
But you know what's great about that? I went in there at halftime and gave one of the best halftime speeches I've ever could do. I was so pumped up and fired out. We came out the third quarter, and I think Jim Miller threw 2 pick sixes. I said, so we got beat like 48-5 to like 19. One of the best halftime speeches I've ever given them. Like I got to be honest with you, it didn't really have any effect on the game. I says, but I'll tell you, I was fired up. Maybe I was the only one. I guess I was the only guy.
You were fired up. That is really funny. That's good.
Do you remember when you were on the sideline against the Jags? And dude's running along the sideline, and you do the flinch.
Chris Hudson.
Yes. What was going through your mind when that happened?
So it was like. So we were getting ready to kick a game-winning field goal in Jacksonville, and there's no time left, and Norm Johnson's getting ready to kick. And the first year I did not have a long snapper. I said, you know what, why am I going to put a spot in the roster just for a long snapper and a short snapper? So I had the long snapper was Kurt Bakken, the backup tight end, perfect. Short snapper had Jim Sweeney. So, and these were guys, they were okay. So we get a bad snap. End of the game. The kick gets blocked. The game's over. Well, it's the last play of the game. Chris Hudson picks it up and starts running by our sideline. And my natural thing was like, just wanted to hit him. Like I wasn't mad at him. I was just mad
just mad in general.
Can we just snap the ball? Can we just have all we got to do is snap the ball. You just snap the ball back. Just snap it. Just one job. I was going to do that, and it got. And ironically enough, it was the same spot on the field that Woody Hayes punched a Clemson player. It was the same spot, same field, same. So I blame the ghost of Woody Hayes on that.
There's a mojo in that spot.
I'm blaming everybody right now. So I'm blaming Jerome. I'm blaming Woody Hayes.
I thought you always told us point the thumb. That is unbelievable. I remember this one, and you might not remember because it was preseason, and we were in Carolina. I think Carolina every year, and there was a. I always stayed away, the action's down there. I probably told the story on the show, but I got to say it in front of you. And I remember standing, kind of other end, and there was a flag. Referee says, we got a sideline issue or whatever. Someone on the Steelers sideline yelled at her, talking trash, however you want, whatever he says. And, 15-yard penalty. And you went to what are you talking about? Who was it? And he goes, it was the coach down there. And I remember, because I looked down watching this whole thing happen, right? Because there's the sideline, and then you're kind of out a little bit. And all of a sudden, it just you stepped out, and it we saw you, and your head did just like this. And you looked down, and it was Dan Rooney. The scout Dan Rooney, because he was, because he always scouted the South.
Yes.
And he was standing by me. So he was yelling at an official, you, all this, and this. Gets a flag, and he was never, and you were like, It was like a kid going, go to your room. Go to your room. So he said, get off the sideline.
Get out. You're a scout. You're a scout. Now I'll listen to you during the draft, but not in the preseason. Like, my God.
I'll never, ever forget the way that they got a penalty on the sideline, like, unsportsmanlike. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Because usually they call out on head coaches. They don't usually, not very often do assistant coaches let alone a scout, give a penalty. But it was like a preseason, and I'll never forget. It's just like, it's like a movie when you see everybody lined up and then that one head does this. That's all you're looking down. That was so funny. I'll never forget that. I was thinking too. Now, I'm gonna let you take a bite of this because this is a question I've been wanting to know forever, and you brought it up, so I feel like I'm allowed to ask this.
Good.
And I know I'm gonna let you finish your bite because I feel like when I ask it, you might use the excuse of "hold on, I got my mouth full" while you try to think of an answer.
Okay, let me enjoy it. Can you please turn around your beer?
I'm looking at you this way in both directions. I'm getting you look.
Okay, great.
This is what I felt like a lot of times in meetings. Like, he's everywhere. He's looking at me. I don't know what to do.
We have a cardboard cutout coming as well.
Good.
Draft. 2004 draft.
Yep.
You guys have the 11th overall pick.
Yep.
The first round.
Yep.
And a lot's been made.
I know.
Of what kind of we know what happened,
right?
But a lot's been made about what led up to that. Okay, and I just found out this week. I was doing I'm sure a gentleman, I think George, is writing a book about Coach LeBeau. Do you know that they're doing a book, Coach LeBeau?
Okay,
about Coach. It's great. So they just spoke to a lot of players and spoke to me, and he said, I don't know if you know, Ben, but Coach LeBeau, there's a famous Coach LeBeau, Coach Cowher interaction before the draft. Where something, and I wish I remembered exactly, but where maybe you were asking, just kind of talking to guys, getting opinions, and it came to Coach LeBeau, who was obviously a very respected guy, and it came to him, and you supposedly, according to Coach LeBeau, so it's not my story, it's Coach LeBeau, supposedly says, Dick, we know where you stand, because I guess Coach LeBeau is a big proponent of me, and I guess Coach LeBeau's Coach Cowher's okay, Dick, yeah, we know who you want to get. Let's move on to the next guy type thing. But, there were reports that you wanted Phillip, and there was, I think Kevin wanted, Sean Alexander from Alabama, right?
So let me just give.
And I was told that Mr. Rooney got up and was the only one that stood up for me.
So here's the whole. No, that's not. No. So and Kevin will attest this. We interviewed all you guys, you three.
The only visit I took, which is unique. Which I'm like, why am I coming here? You guys have Tommy and Tommy Gunn and all that. It's crazy.
No, and so we had Eli in there, we had Phillip in there, and they were, to me, they were ready to play they were ready to play the first year that they go to the team. Mm-hmm. When you came in, I said, okay, Ben's here. And I said, Ben had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I said, I want to get to know him a little bit better. And I watched, I watched your workout and this. And so we were thinking, okay, we need an offensive lineman. Sean Andrews was the guy that we were talking about. He was an offensive lineman from Arkansas. So we go back from the combine, and we sit there, and I said, remember talking to Kevin, I said, Kevin, is there any chance any of these quarterbacks could get to us? He goes, I don't think there's a chance for Eli he goes, maybe Phillip. Eli's going to go high. Maybe Phillip, but I think he'll go second, but maybe Ben. I says, you think Ben could be there when we pick? He goes, I do. So I went back and watched every one of your games.
Okay.
And so I said, let's bring him back in here. And so you came back in. We sat down with you, talked with you. And I said, okay, wow. So let's look at the board. And I remember saying before, we need linemen. And then I told Mr. Rooney that, listen, we're going to take a lineman, but if one of these quarterbacks gets to us, we're taking them because they're too good. So I said, I don't think I would trade up for any of them. I said, I think we're okay with Tommy. We got Charlie. I said, I think we're okay. But I said, if one of them's there, I said, when you were there, I said, okay, he's the best one on the board. I mean, you were going to be, if you're there, we're taking you. Otherwise, it's the lineman. I said, I don't think he's going to be, I think we're taking him. I said, I think, he can sit for a year, which is a perfect situation. I said, he can be behind Tommy, behind Charlie. And I do remember this. This is a true story. I said, when you came to that first mini camp, and you were out in that field. It's almost like the first time I saw Jerome getting our offense. I remember when we were up at the Bubble, it was a mini camp, and we traded for him. I go, wow, Jerome is perfect for this. I remember telling Mark Whipple, I said, wow. I go, Ben's a lot bigger than I thought he was. I go, and the guy's athletic. He's like, look at him over. He's kicking left-footed. He can punt. And he's left-footed. I said, wow. I go, and you start running around and doing some of the bootleg stuff. I'm going, oh my gosh. I go, okay. I said, this is going to be kind of fun to watch this evolve. And so, as we got in a training camp, and I figured we're still okay. We got Tommy and Charlie and you, and I think you had a little package in training camp. I don't know how training camp came, and you didn't get a lot of reps with anybody. Then all of a sudden, Charlie gets hurt.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, okay, we got Tommy and Ben, but Charlie will be back by the 5th game. Or so I said, so
we'll be all right.
We'll be all right.
We'll be all right.
And then all of a sudden, first game, it was a good win. The second game, and I want to ask if you remember this as well. We go to Baltimore, and Bart Scott just lays out Tommy Maddox. And all Ben's in there. Oh, boy. Okay, well, Ben, one thing he'd been doing in all training camp was doing a lot of 1 minute.
Oh, boy, I remember.
Yeah, because you were doing 1 minute.
10.
10.
I mean, 10.
10's going 10. Oh, that's
because we had a chance to win it. I mean,
totally.
We had a drive.
Right.
We were moving down the field. Yeah.
Oh, we were coming back, and all of a sudden it was like 10, and 10 is actually a go, but Ben thought it was the stop, and he throws the stop. Okay,
pick 6, right?
Pick 6, right? I'm going like, Ben, what happened? You go, it was 10. Hey, it's a stop. I go, nah. 10's to go.
Yeah.
I go. He goes, yeah, right. So I go, and I remember saying, just shut it down. Ben's the only quarterback we got left. So let's just get out of this game. And the first game you played, we went down to Miami.
Hurricane.
Yep,
we had no power. Remember, they played the game. They postponed the game for a day.
Yes.
And I remember being in the hotel, and the power went out.
Yeah.
And you sent somebody to like the dollar store and came back with a bunch of
flashlight.
dollar flashlights.
I said, don't play flashlight tag. I said,
no flashlight tag. We sat in that room or in the meetings with flashlights, going through our paper, before iPads and all that stuff, and going through doing that stuff. Because that's what I wanted to ask you too. Like when Tommy went down, my recollection of what happened. Go
back to the draft. But let's go back to the draft. Now let's get by that because let's make sure we set the story straight. No, I want to make sure we clear the air on this thing because I've read all the stories too. And I've read all the stories too. I'm a mystery. Like, where did that come from? Like, you walked in there. I go, Mr. Ernie was never walking into any of those meetings. I said he'd come in. He wanted to know where we were stood on certain things.
He told me, I walked in that room, Ben, and I said, I'm not passing on you. You're my guy.
Listen. He's the owner. He can embellish any story you want to. I said, as the owner, you have every right to do that. I said, but I love that man. And honestly, that and even with Kevin, honestly, and it was just an awesome operation that we had. We talked through every scenario, up and down, and we never looked back. Any decision we made, we never looked back. And I said it was, it's so funny. I was just talking about fate. I'm a big believer in fate. I think things happen for reasons. I think, the good Lord does do things that at times puts us in positions you never know why. But I think you have to embrace those opportunities and learn from them and have personal growth that goes along with it. And I said, that happened. I remember when we drafted you, I go, we're coming off a tough year. I go, we're drafting Ben Roethlisberger for another coach. I said, he's not going to be able to play the first year. And little we know, here you are in week 2 playing, and from that time moving on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I remember. Yeah, when Charlie goes down, you're like, okay. But how often do 2 guys go? I mean, the third guy rarely ever plays through the year. And I remember, I want to say that Tommy got hurt on like a second down because I think I went in for 1 play. Right. And I remember thinking it was just 1 play.
Right.
Because I went, okay, I got to go. And I remember thinking, okay, I just got to hand the ball off 1 time, and then he'll be right back in. Right. And I remember coming back over and being like, hey, how you doing? So kind of checking on him, and the doctors are with him, and it's like, you're gonna have to go back for another series. And I'm like, okay, 1 more series, and it's I think right before half.
It was right before half. Right. And
I remember, I think I went back out, and I could be off on this, but I think I remember being out there and seeing Tommy going into the tunnel with the doctors, and I'm like, oh, this is okay. I just got finished the half, maybe 1 more series. Fine, he'll come back in the second half, and then going in there and so I don't know who it was, but somebody's like, hey, he's done.
He's done.
Like you're going to have to go back in and whatever. And I'm like, oh crap.
So,
what did you like? Did it same record? Like, okay, Ben had one play. Like,
I mean, I thought, okay, we're okay. Let's just get through this because and then all of a sudden we start going no huddle. And I'm thinking, my first thought was like, well, okay, you know what? We're in this situation, but probably this is the most reps that Ben has had in this offense. It's probably been in the 1 minute because we were doing a bunch of that in training camp. And I said, and you were getting a lot of chances at the end of a game or something and going in there. And all of a sudden, we're going down the field. You threw one touchdown, and all of a sudden, I'm thinking, wow, okay, man, this is like. And then you did the pick six, the McAllister. I said, okay, what happened? Oh, I'm like, you're like, oh, I'm thinking, you know what? That's okay. Like, and I'll never forget the next week, and it was a monsoon down in Miami, and we could only run from one half of the field, and on the other, not on
dirt
the
on
dirt.
the field. Yeah,
the dirt in the field.
Were you more nervous going in that game because of the hurricane, or because you had a rookie quarterback playing?
Probably both. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, man, let's just listen. This is where we are. Let's just dial it back and just keep trying to do a little bit more each time, and then we win. And the next week. We win, and you're getting more comfortable, but mostly really comfortable out of the pocket and just kind of running around, as I would call it, street ball.
Ad-libbing, yeah.
Ad-libbing, a bunch of ad-lib, but it was street ball.
That drove you nuts.
Drove me crazy. Because you were getting away with it. You were like, you'd be running to the right and then see Plex on the left and throwing it across the field, and all of a sudden I'm going like, oh my gosh, and like, well, he had the check down right there. Just his progression says check down. He's all, I ain't checking that thing down. Let me run over here and just throw it. Everyone else they're adjusting the routes, and I'm thinking, oh. So and then we start coming in. I said, Wiz, I says, listen, and win one game, win another game. And I said, he's playing street ball again. He says, I'm going to pull him in. I said, listen, I got to talk to Ben. I can't let him, because he's making this thing, it seems like it's too easy for him. I think it's reinforcing bad habits. I said, I'm going to, it's just, I said, I need to let him know, okay, I go, but you should be going through this progression and doing this. Look this guy off. Trust what you see. You didn't trust it. And then you'll just take what's given to you right here. And I said, and if you see too high, you can run. But you can't be running on single high, and you can't just get out of the pocket the first time you feel any kind of people around your feet. You can't do that. And you're like, my gosh, I just threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interceptions, and I'm in your meeting on a Monday morning. You're yelling at me about playing street ball. And I'm thinking, that guy's got a good point, probably. So I go, and so as I told Wiz, I said, Wiz, I said, tell me it's okay. I'm just trying to just make sure he understands there's progressions in what we're trying to do something. There's a reason why we're going through and calling certain plays. We're trying to set certain things up. And every time he runs out and does these things, I says, it's not falling into, I said, it's okay, we know that, but just tell him, just trust his instincts. I said, he's got pretty good instincts. And I said, I know. I go, but I got to just keep telling him this, because at some point he'll understand, yeah, you're right. Because I just don't want him to be out there and taking these shots and hits. And he's a tough guy. I almost feel like he wants to get hit. Initially, just oh, okay. I said,
I get in the game.
Yeah, I know. And I said, I kind of reminds me a little bit of myself. I go, but no, because number one, he's the only quarterback we got, and we can't let him go out to playing street ball, and we got nobody else left. And I go, I don't want to go back to the other guys right now. I go.
Was there ever a thought? I mean, I know we won. It's hard to pulse thinking when you're winning. It's hard to do it. But was there ever, if we would have lost one, would you have thought about going back to Tommy? It's probably hard to look back.
You know what? It was.
Because obviously Alan Phantom made that big comment, right? Which
right.
Why would I want to play with a rookie? Which I don't blame him at all. I've told him, I don't blame you at all. I don't, but you have to, when you had a guy that Tommy played well the 2 years before. He did. And obviously was doing well before he got hurt.
What was funny is I always liked having, I love when we had Cordell, we could do a lot of different things with him. And all of a sudden we had you. It's so funny because I was talking to Josh Allen this offseason, and I saw him over in Hawaii, and we started talking about quarterback play. And he says, the one thing that I feel like that, I said, you see the field. I said, you remind me a little bit about Ben. I said, you have the same qualities. I said, you're big, you're strong, you're tough, and you can see the field. You see the field better than it's an instinct. It's a feel you have. And that, to me, is what separates quarterbacks. And the other part of it, and he said this, is, he says, I not only can see the field in width, but I can see the field in depth. I says, you see the game in 3D. And that's what you did. And I didn't know if it's a great way of saying it, because I think you do see the game in 3D. You saw not just width, you saw depth. And I think a lot of quarterbacks only can, even if they see width, they don't see the different levels that you're having to get the ball into, the second level, the third level. So you understood when there had to be pinpoint, or also had to be a little arc to it. So I just think that was one thing I said, I can see now, because Ben saw the game in 3D. Mm-hmm. You
so you don't think about that. It just is, it's what you just know.
Right.
But it makes sense when you say it like that.
Thinking because a lot of people they have to give them one side of the field. Well, giving you one side of the field was useless, because like you're gonna run to one side and throw it to the other side. So I mean, it's like you were not going to take one side. Like no, for that was not going to ride with you. So I mean.
It's like last night Troy got roasted. Now I'm getting roasted.
You see, that's what he's doing. He's making his rounds.
the roast. Just to finish up on that year, obviously we lose in the championship game.
Yeah.
Asterisks. But the kind of famous, or whatever you say, like I sat down with Jerome, was like, just come, because obviously Jerome was going to leave.
Yeah. And
it was, it's funny, because there's two totally different perspectives from you and me. Me being a young guy, 1 year in, this is easy. Like, I just played at Miami, where we won and dominated. Yeah. So it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, Jerome, come back. We're good. We're going to go win. Because in my mind, that's just what happens.
Right.
But you as a coach had done it for a long time. Probably Jerome was like, you're kind of nuts, kid. This is not easy. Like, you're not just going to make the Super Bowl next year.
Right.
So, like, to get Jerome back, was there anything that you had to say? Did you think he was going to come back? Like, was there any thought process in that to try and get him? I don't want to say just to win it for him next year, but just to get him to come back for another one. Like, because we both knew, everybody knew how good our defense was. We're going to have everybody back.
Right.
Our offense was talented enough. We had some good talent.
Oh.
But from the line to the receivers, I was probably the only and I was just the wild card. But we were good enough, and so I just didn't know. As a dumb young guy telling Jerome to come back because we'll definitely make the Super Bowl. Well, what was your thought? Was there a chance, or did you talk to him, or what'd you think?
Yeah, you know what? I did. It's just like the rule that he had. I said, listen, it's a rule, because I said, Willie Parker is going to be our starter. He's a younger player, but what you bring us is also a second half of like being a closer. Like I looked at him as being a closer late in his career. Like he was like that great closer, man. Like you can chase Willie all you want, and then when you get tired, I'm bringing in a guy that's going to just run right over you. And he can close the game, and we can shut things down and don't have to throw the football. And so, listen, I knew we had a good team, and I thought the next year, and I say it before, when we lost those 3 games in a row in the middle of that season, was probably the best thing that could happen to us, because I think we were thinking, okay, we'll just get back there, and we didn't just get back there. We were 7-2, and all of a sudden we go 7-5.
Yeah.
Then we have to win those last 4 games.
Yep.
And we kind of went in there with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and my gosh, I said the game. Obviously the Indianapolis game.
But we had to go to Cincinnati and beat a really good Bengals and Carson Palmer team. And now Chemo obviously rolled up with the famous rolls up Carson, whatever. But that was a really good team.
That was a really good team.
Really good team.
And then the infamous tackle.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in some depth, because as we're roasting Jerome, we'll talk about Jerome's fumble. We wouldn't talk about this if he was on the show, obviously.
That's actually what this episode's going to be called, the roast of Jerome.
You said it right, though. That season, like, it wasn't like we came out like like just beat everybody all over. Like, it was almost like we won the Super Bowl. You know how you get that bullseye on your chest or your back, whatever. It was like, okay, this team went and won. Now we got to kind of keep an eye on them. And we had to win the last
4 games.
Yeah, and we
just to get in,
and got in as a wild card. Had to go to Cincy, which was going to be brutal.
Indianapolis, who they spanked us on a Monday night
a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah,
which was at the RCA Dome at the time, right?
Yeah.
When we played them, Smith, we may have talked about this before. When we played them a couple weeks before, it was the loudest environment I've ever heard in my life. You couldn't be this far from someone and hear him. And in a huddle.
And that's when we adopted the silent count.
Yes. It was so miserably loud.
Yeah.
And I think they had pumped it in, and we had got him in the postseason to kind of, because in the how's the playoff game not as loud? A little come on now, right? We don't want to get you in trouble. I'm just saying. I know you're an employee.
I'm going to have to still go out there again.
Yeah, I got you. But no, so we go to Indy, and here's the unique thing. We go to Indy, and we come out the first and second series throwing the ball, which was different for us. Heath Miller.
Oh, everything.
Polk goes down the middle, and we go down the field and score on the opening two. I don't know if it's 2 touchdowns, but at least a touchdown and a field goal. Yeah. But it was Heath Miller and throwing the ball, and I think it probably either caught him off guard, whatever. But we got a lead, which I think you're like 101-1 with a lead in the halftime or whatever.
107-1-1.
Okay, so 107-1-1. That's because he never lets his quarterback throw the ball in the second. You bring it closer.
Which is the truth.
But you can't argue with the record.
No, you can't. No. But that's that. We get a lead, and now it's just like, and what you've got in that offense, like the Colts offense. So it's like, okay, but we've got so you got the best defense versus, I don't know what their record, but it's got to be one of the best offenses.
Right.
And so now it's like we're just going. And as Coach LeBeau said last night in his talk, which I forgot about, 3 straight sacks or 4 at the end of that game to sack Peyton.
It's 4 straight sacks.
4 straight sacks.
And all we got to do is run it out. We could not sit on it because it was They had timeout. They had timeouts, and so we said, just run it. Give it to Jerome.
Why not? Because we're ready to go in. So So I want to know, because I've told this story many times. Maybe you have too. When he handed off, I never forget this. I didn't carry out my fake. Yeah. And I would have gotten so much trouble for that, not carrying out my fake. And why didn't I? It was because I wanted to watch him, because we just won a big game. I want to watch him walk in. And it's probably better that I didn't carry it out. But when it happened, it was slow motion. Like the ball bounces. My question to you in that moment was, did you have any fear knowing that I was, when they picked up and scooped, you probably saw okay, Ben's out there. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's going to get him on the ground. That's what I would think he's probably thinking.
No, he's so fast.
Well, what was going through your head?
Well, you were the best athlete that's on the field on our side.
For us, I know. Which is scary.
There was a bunch of big people.
Was that better or scary?
I'm like, okay. Because I think Jeremy Tooman was also, there was a tight end that was there.
Tooman was
so
there.
I thought, like I said, that was happening.
Ball pops out.
Ball pops out. All of a sudden, Harper picks it up. And the best thing you did was almost like just trying to buy time. Just so you took off back, and you're kind of like just making him make a decision whether he was going to cut back or go this way.
Because he very easily should have just ran away from me and scored.
Yes.
Very easily. But you had to be thinking oh, man.
No, I was like, wow. I mean, and
heartbreak.
It's hard. I mean, I was just like, and then when he fell, it's just like, oh my, okay. It was great play, but the first thing I'm thinking is, we got to play defense.
Yeah, you got to stop.
Man,
it wasn't over.
No, and he threw the ball in the end zone. And Brian McFadden, who was a rookie.
I forgot about that till Coach LeBeau mentioned that.
Brian McFadden made 2 big plays in the end zone.
I do remember that.
I mean, it was huge. And
shout out B-Mac.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
as a rookie.
And then Vanderjack comes out, and he hadn't missed.
And you're still going to, he's going to make this.
He's going to make this.
But it was the tie. Was it the tie?
No, it was. What's that?
Was his field goal to tie it?
Yes.
Okay. See, I must have forgot that. I thought it was to win.
I think it was.
Because Coach LeBeau said last night in his speech it was to tie, but I thought it was to win it. But either way,
I think it was. I think it might have been. I think it was a tie. I think you're right. I think it was a tie.
But either way, but he's not going to miss.
I know. That's why I called timeout. I used him. He's looking at me. I'm going what do you think? I'm going to save my timeout for what reason?
Yeah.
And then he kicked that thing, and even after the timeout of icing him, my whole thought is, wow. I think it was to win too. I think it was because I remember thinking, man, this could be Jerome's last play as a Pittsburgh
Steelers. That's what I thought too, but because overtime would have made it a little different feeling. We have a chance in overtime.
Because it's not like it's I think
I don't remember, but either way, I never thought. I mean, that ball was kicked and it was like,
oh my gosh,
did that just happen?
And honestly, the best game you played was the next week
in Denver.
Oh, that first half. Yeah. You threw a ball in the back of the end zone. I'm going, no. That was a 3D. That was a 3D throw.
No.
Yes. Then we were in a double move on Champ Bailey.
Yeah, a little sluggo.
Yeah,
Cedric Wilson, right?
Yeah, Cedric Wilson. Yeah.
That's I joke with people. And those of you young people out there, that's not Cedric Wilson Jr. that's now playing.
No,
that's how you know you're old. I played against Cedric Wilson Jr.
I know,
right? And his old man was on my team.
He's a Hall of Fame game. Remember, he was playing in that Hall of Fame game, and I was with you on the sideline. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, remember he used to be my teammate. Now his son's out there. Yes, that's how you know you're old.
I go. Don't you feel old now? I go,
Yes, I do.
his son is playing, and you guys are both playing at the same time.
Oh, that was unbelievable. Yeah, that Denver. That's the game I got. Remember, I told you I got fined
Yes.
for doing the 6-shooter.
Yeah, whoa. Holster those,
Yeah,
Buck.
put those away. After I threw that touchdown to Hines, I had a little scramble. And I threw that one to Hines in the back of the end zone.
That's
I was
the one.
excited. I was doing this on the sideline.
They find you.
I did. I got a.
You got another letter. You got a
I
letter
got a
too.
letter too. It was. You know what my letter was for though? Threatening the other team with a deadly weapon. No joke.
No way.
I swear.
You got to save that.
Threatening the other team with a deadly weapon.
Okay.
But rest.
So see, because
Mr.
you're
Rooney,
not,
Mr. Rooney helped me with that one.
Did he?
Yes.
I mean, he didn't help me with mine.
That was unbelievable. Yeah, going there and then going to Detroit with Jerome. That was really cool.
That was great.
Oh! I just thought of this. I feel like we need to do a beer here in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're just going. Sorry. I know we
great.
appreciate you. In the Super Bowl, there is a classic image, picture taken at the end of that Super Bowl, where you've got me with two hands by the scruff of my shirt.
Right. So
would you like to tell the story?
Yeah. So yes. So I thought you did this on your own. I said I thought you faked it. It was a third down. I said, "Oh, fucking Ben did this again. He fucking just keeps doing this stuff. He's playing street ball again." I go, he took it and he ran. And I go, "Next time you do that, tell me." And I looked at the play, and you opened up the wrong way, or I
don't remember what. Something bad happened.
Something bad. Either you opened up or Jerome went the wrong way.
Jerome. It was Jerome. Let's be honest. It was Jerome.
It's mine not. He's not here.
It was Jerome.
We'll have to bring him on to defend himself. Let's just pile on Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome, you want to come and defend yourself?
There was a mistake, and you actually took the ball and got us that first down, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I thought, how ironic. Because I says, when we did that, I says, man, there he goes playing street ball, and here we are winning the championship. And it was just, it was just like when I was like, damn, I love you. It's like, he did he's been doing this to me for 2 years now.
So I drove you away, I guess, huh? Oh,
yes, this is definitely.
Yeah, that's it right
iconic.
there. He's got me. He's yelling at me. Don't you ever do that again.
Don't you ever quit playing street ball.
We should recreate this image and that be the thumbnail.
Yes. Oh man, it's funny because there's just a couple other things because I don't want to keep you long, but I don't want to get
I'm really
to
enjoying this.
Let's do a beer. Spence,
no, I don't want to cut you off.
Spence, pour a beer. No,
please.
Pour a beer, Spence.
I want to enjoy the rest of this sandwich, please.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah, all of that food was phenomenal, per the usual. So, Coach, how we typically do this is we drink them out of these small little, these little baby beer mugs, and
my Scotch glasses are bigger than that.
Yes, I believe that, and we kind of sample like a wine. We do like a wine tasting before.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
I like that.
I'm just trying not to spill this.
I do like beer. I'm a beer.
What is your favorite type of beer?
I'm not an IPA guy.
Okay, you might hate this one.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'm not afraid to tell you how I feel. Ask me. I like the Belgium.
Okay.
Like I'm a 1664. I like that.
Hall of Fame coaches deserve.
Spence.
This is trying over here, dude.
Yeah. Let me get
yours.
yours.
High class show.
Which one do you want? Here, give me that, please.
All right, here's your. This is the one you have to sample right here.
Okay,
hey, Coach, I'm gonna punch in on you there if you want to show the camera.
Here we go. Which one would you order? Okay. Sir, which one would you like? Clearly I would take this one.
You complained about your little beer.
I'll definitely take this one.
Don't try that guy yet.
No, don't
try him yet. Right. You have to do the show appropriately. I don't want to ever hear you complain about your little beer.
There you go. The first one was I like having the plate here. I look like I'm.
Oh, he's gonna not like this.
Yeah.
At all.
So
this smells delightful.
So you like
because I'm a connoisseur now because of this show.
Oh, God.
He's a pro. What a great response.
Sometimes fate takes you down a bad path.
What is this, Spence?
This is called
It's like pineapple.
Yeah, this is called Ghost in the Machine. It's from Parish Brewing Company. It's an ale.
Oh,
It's an ale. That's all the information I have on it. I legitimately we were setting up and I just grabbed one.
Ale.
Yeah. Well, IPAs are ales, yeah.
Almost had a pineapple taste to it.
By Parish Brewing Company from
Right.
Louisiana.
Yeah, that's a classic IPA.
Is it?
Yep.
It's a little hazy.
A little hazy.
A little hazy.
But I tell you what, thank you for putting it in a little glass.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So that's the kind of beer you don't like, right? Because
Right,
it's got that
exactly.
hoppy.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I was almost going to look at the beer to tell you whether I'd like it or not. Like this.
Clarity.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's a frosty.
So you
bug.
so
That's
you
why
like
it's not
the
clear. That's what I do for you. I give you a big frosty bug.
Yeah.
That's Hall of Fame. You get gold jack. If Jerome ever came on, he'd probably get a frosty. But you got to have gold jack to get a big frosty.
Well, and then again, he's got to be here.
He might fumble it. I mean, love you, Bussy, but we're gonna keep busting you till you come on. I do want to take it just a little because I'm curious about something because my agent Ryan told me a story. Okay. So I'm going to take it a little serious just for a second, and then we'll get back to fun. And I want and you may not remember this. You have a pretty good memory, even though you're getting older. But so after my motorcycle accident, Ryan told me because when I told him you were coming on, he's like, "Oh, you'll have to ask him about this and see what he remembers." He said that it was him, my parents, and you in the hospital. In like the ICU, wherever it was, and they brought me out of surgery, and you guys there was a whole team of doctors there. And they said he said they wheeled me into like the ICU and I was like unrecognizable. And he said that Ryan was telling me, Ryan said, I went in with your parents to like into the room and he goes like, you didn't really say much to us. And then coach somehow like walked in and he said that we all kind of said something to you and then you walked up and said something to me or like something. And then he said that I said something. Do you remember any of that at all? Because I know he told me and I can tell you what he said. But I don't know I would hear you if you remember any of it first.
I think I just said, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're going to be okay. We're going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. And then I remember walking away saying, all right, I'm going to yell at him at some point.
Yeah.
I said, but, I said, you were like my kid.
Yeah.
And I was, it's like you push the limits at times and on the field, maybe a little bit off. I can remember telling you, and I heard you were running around with a motorcycle with some people, and I kept saying, wear a helmet. Just make sure you wear a helmet. And, and I remember just telling your dad, this might be the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's, I just think he'll be okay. He's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was. And I think it was a scary moment for everybody. And his recollection was me saying to you, I'm sorry, coach.
Yeah.
And and you were like, no, no, you don't do that.
No,
you don't do that. You're gonna be just fine.
You're gonna be fine.
But he said that Ryan remembers distinctly when you turned around that it was like emotional because of that. And it was like, cause he said that Ben, you told him you were sorry, like almost like I let you down, not anybody else. Right. But I let you down, and that was like it meant a lot to him. And I didn't know if you remembered it that way. It's been a long time.
Listen, I was down in North Carolina, and I got the call, and I came right up. I was in by my beach house, and I go, Ben just got an accident. I got to go. So I got on a plane, came up. Remember seeing like your father and Ryan and everybody. I just remember going in there and just like, oh, he shouldn't. I go, don't talk about all those other things. This may be the best thing in the world. It's like he got knocked down, and I said, you know what? You're not going to have to say a word to him. Yeah. I said, and I remember that year. You kept coming back in your first few games. I go, Ben, you're flinching. And he's like, well, I'm not. I go, no, you really are. You're kind of turning away. Because I said, I remember we come in on Mondays. I said, let's watch the tape. And you go, well, you'd flinch too if you're in a motorcycle accident. I go, I know, but I just want to point out to you, you're okay. Yeah. But get back to being who you are. You're going to be okay. We're not going to put you out there if there's any risk of anything happening to you. But I want you to see it. because I know, and I said, and you know, in your own little surly way, which is like, okay, he's back. Like he's just, you know, he's back being him. It's just a little chip on his shoulder, and he's yelling at me again. I go, we're good. We're good. He's like, you know, so, you know, but you're right. You felt like you let the team down when that happened, and you knew, and it's like having your kid, right? Like I said, I always just, you know, like my oldest daughter, Megan, is like the same way. She always pushed the limits and pushed the line. And I said, I don't mind even our team being that way. And if you cross the line, my job is to pull you back, you know, just a lesson learned. And I try to take that approach with our whole football team. I wanted a bunch of like very confident, cocky players coming on that field. And when you got disrespectful, if you got selfish, I'm going to pull you back and make sure you know, we're in this thing together. And don't disrespect the game or disrespect the opponent or disrespect a teammate. You know, so I said those are the messages you give to your kids about even going through life, right? And so, but be a little edgy, but don't be afraid to take some risk, you know, and don't be afraid to go out there and try to do something no one else has done, you know. So I don't know.
No, that's awesome. I know that, like, obviously that next year wasn't a great year for us, and you decided to hang it up.
Yeah.
Was there ever, and I know obviously with your wife being sick, was there ever thoughts of coming back, like serious thoughts of coming back, or staying longer, or was it just all on her? Like the focus was all about her, which I think you obviously made the right decision.
You know, we had talked about it. Ironically, the year that we won the championship, we were in North Carolina looking for a home because we had just lost a championship game the year before to the Patriots.
Yep.
And
asterisks.
Asterisks. And but it was the time I said, well, let's just start thinking about maybe it's time to move on. I think she was also starting to develop some symptoms of some she just didn't want to be there anymore. It's just like it was a hard place because the cell phones were coming out, with the camera phones were starting to come out then.
Right.
And so it was like right around that same time. And anyway, so we kind of thought, you know, that was that year that was going to be the last year. So it was actually the last year of my contract.
So you knew that was.
And then so we won the championship, and then my agent talked me into coming back to try to win it the second time. But that last year, my wife was in North Carolina with my daughter, who had just enrolled in 10th grade at Ravenscroft High School. And so I kind of knew, but it's probably, to me, it's like I said, no one said, oh, he's checked out. I had nothing else to do in Pittsburgh except to coach. And so I was sitting there coaching, and I'd see my parents, and I'd go up there on Friday nights and have pizza with my mom and dad. And, you know, I mean, you don't go out anywhere in Pittsburgh, but I was like alone in my house. And it was just like, you know, when the season was over, and she goes, you know, you can go and you can do whatever you want to do. And, but I'm going to stay down here in North Carolina. And I said, well, I'm not doing that by myself. I can't coach by myself. I said, because that's my family was everything.
Only enough job.
Yeah. And my family, you know, the family was just everything to me, you know? And so I stepped down, and honestly, my wife, passed away 3 years later, but I was there with her every step of the way. I was blessed to be able to go to TV to do that. You know,
was there ever really, like, you know, there were a lot of rumors of you coming back. Was any of it ever?
No. You know, I started talking to people. I said, you know, let me go through this process. And every time I'd go and I'd talk to some owners, and I was given a lot of opportunities to come back. Then I met my current wife, and she was a singer and songwriter, and
we won't talk about the music video.
No. Hey, listen, it was
we love you,
V. V was like, but she's like big Jets fan, and so we'd get to the point, and I'd say, you know, but I couldn't come up to the grips of being coaching another team.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, this was my team. Like, and I said, so it never really got to the point, and. You know, then I just started enjoying the off season and thinking, wow, I'm doing this traveling. And then all of a sudden I'm loving New York City because there's anonymity up there, and no one knows who you are. You can go to Central Park. And so it just seemed like I was transitioning myself into being into that city, because there was a chance to just be like every normality was coming back. You know, and I think I lost a little normality when I was here in Pittsburgh, because you can't go anywhere. Yeah. You know, so, and I grew up in a lot of normality here, and that's why I love coming back here. thank you for having me on this in your basement. This is, and reliving some of these stories. So, I mean, you and I have never had really a chance to talk about these things.
I would like one more question to ask you, because I asked Coach Tomlin this, because obviously everyone knows Pittsburgh. There's been 3 coaches.
Yeah.
I asked him what it was like to come behind you. What was it like to come right behind Chuck? Did you have a relationship with him at all? Was it? I mean, and when did it feel like it was your team?
Well, you know, when I came from Chuck, they'd only been to playoffs one time in the previous 7 years when I took over. So it was a little bit of a team as in transition. There was a lot of offense didn't like the defense. Defense was number one. Offense was not very good. Didn't have a quarterback. They did have free agency back then. There was Plan B, so the players were not getting paid. A lot of players didn't want to be there. So it was not the best of places, but it was my hometown team, you know, and I was young. And so I just, you know, I hired Dick LeBeau, who was off the street. He didn't have a job. Marvin Lewis, I took him out of Pitt. And Marvin Lewis and I played high school football against each other. Wow. So, like, I didn't know any of the coaches. Dom Capers, I brought him in. And I said, okay, I want to get a running team. Let me get Ron Earhart. And so,
in case you don't know, Spence, that's a heck of a coaching tree.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. But go ahead.
Yeah, and then Ron Earhart, and all of a sudden, then Mike Malarkey. Let me get Mike and make sure get the tight end. What's the next coordinator? If you're going to get somebody to groom a coordinator, it's the tight end coach, because that guy's got the running game. He knows the passing game. The receiver coach just knows that, but the tight end coach knows protections. He knows the running game. He knows the passing games. He knows the hots. So we went from Mike Malarkey to Ken Wisenhunt. So I always was trying to groom someone to take that place, and hopefully they would all have a chance to go somewhere else.
That's a good head coach there.
That's wild, man.
Did you and Chuck have a relationship at all?
No, I was on the plane with him one time. I go, Mr. Rooney says, I'm taking Chuck down to his home in Florida. And I go, okay. He goes, but I need to go to college. I want to go to Clemson and see their workout. And we end up getting LeVon Kirkland in that first draft. Okay. So I go, oh, this is great. I'll get on the plane with Chuck. I can this is perfect. Yeah. So I get on the plane and I'm like, hey, Chuck and Coach. I go, hey, the 2 quarterbacks, Bobby Brister and Neil O'Donnell, what'd you see in them? They're good. I go, yeah, like one over better than the other. They're good guys. Okay, like, did you like one was better? He goes, I liked them both. I go, okay, good enough. I go, the building. I says, you know, like, is there a certain protocol you go through? Like, you go right to Mr. Rooney? And he's like, it's a good building. I go, okay, great. He goes, and Mr. Rooney, the Rooneys are good. I go, okay, like, did you have like any issues with him? I really enjoyed my time there. Okay, great.
Was he just like didn't want to give you anything, or he was just in a good place in his life that everything was good?
I just don't think he wanted he had. I don't know if he left on great terms or not great terms. So so I said okay. So when I left, I said, you know, someone says, so what'd you say to Mike? I said, I told Mike the same thing Chuck Noll told me.
Everything's good.
Nothing. I said, you'll figure it out.
You got it.
You'll figure it out. I said, you know, and you know what? There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Don't have any preconceived thoughts. Yeah. No preconceived thoughts. No preconceived ideas about what you want, what's expected, or how you go about things. Figure it out yourself. And I think that's some of the advice I've given to people going into a building is, you know, be yourself. Understand what the protocols are. And be respectful of what took place before you. Don't come in there thinking you have all the answers and you're going to start changing this, and that, because there's a lineage of things that have happened and why they're there. Be respectful of that. You know, I mean, it may some things maybe need to change. But be very, you know, be subtle about it. You know, have some little bit of compassion about and understanding about the history of what you're walking into. Yeah. And that, to me, is like the most important thing. What's the mystique of the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I think, to me, my biggest takeaway is what they've done and the simplicity with which they do things. It's a family business, and you know, walking into that building, it's just all of a sudden it's just about family. There's no worrying about, you know, even from personnel to to training, to this and that. It's just what we all have jobs to do. We all have, responsibilities, and we're all going to get along, and everyone's going to have to make sacrifices somewhere along the way, because you're not going to get what you want. I said, Mr. Rooney always just like, what's our budget? I'm not going to give you a budget. Why not? Because then you're going to feel like you have to spend it. Like, oh, okay, well, that's it. I go, that's kind of a good point. I remember that one. Like, they're in business. I'm not giving you a budget. Then you're going to feel you have to spend the whole thing.
Yeah, that sounds so much like him.
Right? Right?
Yes. I remember one of my favorite Mr. Rooney stories, and if I've told him this thing before, I apologize, but I would always warm up in the tunnel, before games.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I would watch him. This is, as he got older, he's bent over, and he was still sharp as attack forever.
Right.
Sharp as attack.
Totally.
Didn't look like, when you'd see him, you'd feel bad.
Yes.
Right? Because you're like, oh, he looks
know.
so bad. But if you know him, you knew he was fine.
He's fine.
And so I would be warming up, and then he would walk in the tunnel kind of past me, and as he was coming down the tunnel, I'd see not necessarily fans, but like maybe sponsor people that are loud in the tunnel, and they'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Rooney," they'd go to talk to him, and he would just kind of walk by him and get like grunt, like he was like this old man, and you could see him as they passed, just like they'd be like, "Oh, I feel so bad for him," and he would come to me, and they'd be like, and he'd kind of put his hand up and shake my hand, like he would always do. I'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Rooney, I just want to let you know I saw what you just did," and he would laugh. He's like, "Yeah, I know." Like, he would play the whole like just, "Oh, I'm just this old man, I don't get anything," and I was like, "I know what you're doing." He would laugh. Like, he was the best. I love and miss him so much. He was great.
He was awesome. I mean, he was, he would come in. We got to run that football. Don't forget about running the football. Like, I know.
Is that where you got it from?
We were like, oh my God. It was like, we're throwing the ball. I go, we're throwing the ball way too much. I go, no, the game's kind of going that way, mister. He goes, yeah, but I know about the game. I go, like, I know you know about the game. I know. We'll make sure we run the ball.
I always wonder, some of the things you got, like running the ball, I'll never forget, you give Wiz those looks, run the ball. I'm like, well, we're actually throwing the ball pretty well right now, but I get it. Like,
hey, here's my whole thing was, listen, throw early to run late.
Yeah.
That was because I said at the end, like fourth quarter, I used to have like Plex and Hines, and they'd be coming in my ear like, oh, like Ben won't throw the ball to me. I go, fuck, talk to Ben. Don't talk to me. I go, fuck, I'm not out there. He goes, yeah, well, you're not even calling pass plays.
Yeah,
I go, well,
no wonder Ben's not throwing the
I go, I'm sorry. Look at the score. I said, you see the clock? I go, that's the clock. There's a 2-possession game. And if we get one more minute off the clock, I says, then it's it. I said, we can dictate how they're going to call. They're going to have to start throwing the football. So it's all about math. I said, there's only so many possessions you get in the second half. And I said, and I was very good in math. And I knew that if I ran, then I could almost use up 2 minutes of the clock. Particularly as I told Ben, don't come out of the huddle till there's 10 seconds.
Yep.
It's like, my God, we're in the third quarter. He goes, my God, we're in the third quarter. I go, I know, I'm counting possessions. He goes, third quarter, come on. And I go, no, we're not throwing it. I go, we're not.
He's like the Rain Man over on the sideline, breaking down the films at the time and stuff. Oh man, Spence, we've kept him here long. We do have you have a beer, but you don't have to finish it. But there's one thing. Am I missing?
Can I get a bigger glass?
You complained about your little guy.
One of the fishbowl.
We got to do the 2-minute drill.
Yes.
So is there anything else that I'm missing before we do that we want to talk about? I don't want to miss anything you would like to talk about or say? Would you like to ask me any questions?
No, I think we actually covered them all because we covered Monday. We covered the Mondays we had. We covered your accident, which was really, really important to do. Your draft, which is also very important to do, which we never had talked about. Clear the air. I don't know if
you know one of my favorite things. I'm sorry. One of my favorite things about you, which is crazy to think of. Now, as an older guy, I appreciate it. I'm saying this to Spence and everybody out there. If you were 5 minutes early, you were late. And I know people like there's that cliche, but that was real.
Yeah.
Like you were not. And some coaches are like, if you have a 1 o'clock meeting or a 1 o'clock practice, if you're there at 12:59, you're not late.
No.
So I'm just saying everyone's different. I've seen practices. You better never have been out at practice after him.
Oh.
Ever. Right. And whenever he chose to be out there, it was 10 minutes early. If it was 12:50, you better be out there.
Yeah.
And I just always appreciated that. Like the meetings, like they started. Meetings never started on time. They always started a little bit early. So it wasn't even like you had a chance to be a minute early because it was like you were done. And we had we had, I mean, not a bunch, but we had a few practices start over, which was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely miserable. You know what? Start it over. We all were like, start what over? Like this play? Start it over. Like the period coach? The whole thing. Back to the line. Stretch them out. We're like, what? Are you kidding me?
Oh, we did. No, we did. I said, I kicked you guys off the field a couple times.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So that, I always knew I was going to kick you off the field even before I went out there.
It was
it was part of it because I said, these guys are starting to feel too good about themselves. I said, like on a Friday, like you play like this on Sunday, and you're going to be embarrassed at home. I go, get off the field. Like you're wasting everyone's time. I said, this is a waste of time. And then, or we'd start a practice. I go, we do have pads on. Okay, so I had not heard a pad hit yet. I said, so let's just start over. Yep. Let's start it over. I go, and we do have pads on. Okay, so I know I'll take them off after 9:07 or after team. We'll take them off. But until then, let's just start over. And we're going to keep exactly the same plays so the defense knows exactly
what's coming.
So you know what? Well, they know it's coming. I don't care. Hey, how about this one? You got mad at me one time about Troy. So we got to talk about this. I think it was your second year. And you're like, okay, you had to. You're the starter, and they come into training camp, and you go, Coach, Troy, he just jumps stuff all the time. He's not even doing the things he's supposed to be doing. I'm going. I remember I didn't say it to him. I'm thinking to myself, welcome to my world. I'm like, what? This thing, welcome to my. I hear you. I can't control him either. I go. You're like, just tell him. I go.
Troy's famous. I see something.
I'm going like, welcome to my world. I said he's doing things he shouldn't be doing. I know.
Troy's gonna be so mad. He would I don't know. He would do the card defense just to get extra reps.
Yeah.
Like he's not, like, why are you out there playing their defense? But then he would do his own thing. Like
yes.
So when as an offense, you have a card, right? The defense sees a card and it tells them exactly what they're supposed to do, and it's to make the offense better, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So the offense is going to run our play. The defense is going to run the other team's defense.
Yes.
And so even if they're like, this is like, we wouldn't do it. It doesn't matter. You do what the card says. And so Troy was so famous. He would do it even with like BA. He'd start chirping at Troy. Like BA would be like, "Oh, we burnt you, defense." Troy's like, "Okay." Like he would do the card. He's like, "Oh, that's what you want now? Okay." Yeah. But Troy would all of a sudden he's supposed to like go back to like deep half, and then all of a sudden he'd be like over here intercepting a ball, and I'm like, and I'm only second year. Like at late as I got older, I could appreciate it. In the second year, I'm like,
yeah.
What are we doing?
No, he's coming over. He's coming over to me. He's getting mad at me because of Troy, and I'm going like, "What do you want me to do?" Okay, Troy, you can't do that. Yeah. Like I go, I'm thinking to myself. I didn't say it. I go, I get mad too. I go, I know you're feeling. I have to deal with this on game day.
Yeah,
you're dealing with this in practice. I go, so I got the same problem in game day.
Oh, he was the best, and it's so funny because as I got older, I apprecied it. And as a young guy, it's like, gosh, this is so awful. Because he was so stinking good. Right. And he makes you feel really bad about yourself. when the point of cards is supposed to feel good about yourself. But Troy was great. But hey, Coach, so we're going to end with this. Okay. This is what we call it. This is a new thing we did. Right. It's called the 2-minute drill.
2-minute drill.
Okay.
I'm got
so
you.
I have a handful of like kind of questions, sort of thoughts.
Okay.
They're quick, but give me an answer. Just
okay.
We got 2 minutes. We're gonna see how many of these we get through in roughly 2 minutes.
Okay.
I got my clock going. Okay.
Ready? Go.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Ready? Clock.
Right, go.
Favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite sport to play?
Basketball.
Do you call it pop or soda?
Pop.
Would you rather watch college football or the NFL?
NFL.
Artificial turf or grass?
Oh, grass.
Sorry, I gotta keep going. Sunday night football or Monday night football?
Monday night football.
Absolutely. What's the fastest 40 you ever ran?
4.75.
Me too. Sorry. What's your go-to pregame song?
Lionel Richie, All Night Long.
Oh, nice. 4th and goal at the 1 yard line. Run it or throw it.
Oh, yeah, run that ball.
Chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
Vanilla.
Favorite football player of all time? Besides me.
Jack Lambert.
What's your go-to dessert?
Strawberry cheesecake.
Ooh. What's the last concert you went to?
My wife, V.
That's a good one. What's your favorite vacation spot?
North Carolina, Bald Head Island.
Favorite singer or group besides your wife?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
Golf, yes or no?
Yes.
Nice. Ocean or a lake?
Ocean.
One play left in the game. What's your go-to defensive call?
Blitz.
I believe
It's a blitz. Dude, it depends who we're playing. I don't know.
I got you.
But we're coming after you. I can tell you that.
Last one. Time's almost up. Favorite player you ever coached besides me? Oh, time's up. I'm just joking. Oh my goodness.
He said without thinking, blitz. Well, it depends on who
blitz. We're just blitzing. We don't care blitz. Some of those I had done, and I was like, as soon as I read them, like, yeah, that's a dumb. That's run it or throw it. Never throw it. I'm sorry I didn't say that. I would never throw it.
What do we need a quarterback for?
Would you ever do Wildcat now as your running guy? Is that something you would ever do?
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't big.
Well,
Did you do it with L? Did you do it with Randall or not really?
Yeah, we did. We did it with Antoine. And I mean, we did it like with Cordell and even with Hines. When Hines first came in, Hines was a quarterback.
Yeah, I remember
we
that.
had Hines and Antoine at the same time, and
So
it
you
was
did a bunch of that. Some of that.
yeah.
stuff.
The
Okay.
Wildcat was great.
Yeah. That's funny. I was some of those. As soon as I read them, like, yeah.
You knew the answer. It's rhetorical.
Okay. Is there anything as I know Spence will end this thing, but like we always want to give people. Is there anything you want to like charities? I mean, anything you want to? What do you do? I know we never know. Everyone knows you're doing the CBS stuff.
Right.
Is there anything else that you got going on that you want to tell people
No,
about?
I mean, you know what? It's you know, I got 7 grandkids.
No way.
Yeah, my 3 daughters are all happily married. They're all
2
doing
of them are
great.
athletes, right?
Well,
Or
yeah, all
athletes?
3 of them have played college basketball.
No, your son-in-law.
Oh yeah. My oldest son-in-law, well, my oldest daughter Megan, you actually came to a game of hers that she played at Pitt or Duquesne. Actually,
Duquesne is in Duquesne.
It's
Yeah,
Duquesne, which again, and her husband was Kevin Westgarth. He works in the NHL league office. He was won a cup with the Kings. They met at Princeton. They both went to Princeton. Then my youngest daughter, Lindsay, when I stepped down, went down to Raleigh, met her husband, who was Ryan Kelly, who's a 7-foot player who played for Coach K, won a championship with Coach K. Yeah. He played 3 years with the Lakers, 1 year with the Hawks, and now she's actually over in Tokyo, and she's homeschooling her 3 kids.
Is he playing over there?
He plays over there.
Wow.
So he's played like overseas now, like 6 years.
Wow. Is that hard? You get to see them very often?
We were on our way over there when the pandemic hit to see him in Tokyo. But he's just finishing up. They're coming back. So, and then my middle daughter lives in Denver. Okay. And so Lauren does. And so, yeah, 2 of them play professional. Wow. One's basketball, one hockey. And then cool. All the kids, the 4 boy grandsons, they're all going to be big because Kevin's 6'5", Ryan's 6'11". And I told him left tackles pay very well in the NFL.
Right? Very true. Very true. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to do this. And not just for us, but for the fans. They've been asking for you. And people love you'll always be loved here and appreciate it. I laugh and joke. I tell people like Spence that we didn't always have – I wish – and this is not a slight against Mike. I love Mike to death. I wish we could have played. Right. I wish I could have played for you as I was older, just for the relationship. Right. Because we have a great relationship now. Right. I would have loved to have had a relationship, a player coach like we did. Because when you were, when I was young and you were there, Coach always said, I have an open door policy. Guess who wasn't going through that door? This guy. I was not going through that. No. But there was always a lot of respect. But it would have been fun to play for you as an older guy, as a vet, and whatever. But just so thankful for you to be here and to be a part of the show with us.
Thank you, Ben. Honestly, I think just watching you, the growth with you and Ashley and the kids, and seeing you as a father, as a part of this community, and just when you came in here, how young you were, and I feel very proud to have had those sometimes uncomfortable conversations with you, because I just know what you have on the inside of you. You come from the right place with the right core values. You just have the right fiber about you. And my daughters always said, I had uncomfortable conversations with them and told them things that sometimes they needed to hear, didn't want to hear.
Which is a parent we have to do.
Right. And so I just want you to say thank you for what you've done for this organization. Your years here and watching you down through the years and watching you play, and really your athleticism is one thing, your feel for the game and your way you could see the game. And I say it's again, you saw the game in 3D better than any other quarterback, I think, in history of the game. But your toughness And, that to me is what exemplified and why this city really looks at you a certain way, because you really represent some of what this people here identify the Pittsburghers with, which being tough, physical, competitive, skillful, and, just your ability to be who you are, proud of who you are, and bring on the next challenge.
I went to the right team.
You did go to the right team.
I went to the right team and very happy and proud of that.
And you went to the right team at the right time.
Oh,
and this was
doubt.
you
that team never should have drafted that high.
No,
that as good as they never should have been there. I never should have been that lucky.
No.
These quarterbacks go to these teams that aren't as good because they're the top picks, but I got to go to a great team, great organization, great coach.
And I think even today, like some of these teams, I said, I was saying this about Kenny Pickett last year when he came in, run the football. Like, and I know everyone's he doesn't like to throw, but I didn't mind throwing, and that. I mean, as I said, throw early to run late, but sometimes a young quarterback to have a good running game, it doesn't force you to have to accelerate the learning process. Right. You can evolve into that. You evolved into that, and all of a sudden after a while, you get into that third year, second year. No, let them go no huddle.
Yeah, right.
Let them, it's like you start to earn the right. It's like you earn the right to play by calling special teams. You earn the right to call plays by proving that you understand exactly what we're trying to do out there. And you actually went through that process. And, so, give the ball to Ben at the end of a game. Yeah, let him go no huddle. Let him call his plays. He knows he's been in this long enough. You earned the right to do that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it very much. It meant a lot to play for you.
Yeah.
So
thanks,
thank
man.
you. Appreciate you, Coach.
Hi, Spence.
Hey, well, I mean, nothing I'm going to say is going to top that. I felt like I was watching a movie. I was like, this is a beautiful end to a movie. But Coach, as Ben said, thank you guys so much for being here. It's been awesome. I felt like just a fly on the wall. I feel like I'm vicariously living I'm living every Pittsburgher's dream right now, hearing these stories in person.
Great.
So, but yes, if you are not already, go ahead and follow at Footballin with Ben on Instagram, and be sure to check out Coach at CBS. He's doing awesome stuff there. And I mentioned it earlier, and it's been out for a couple of years now, but Heart and Steel is your book. It is a phenomenal read. You can listen to audio as well. It is one of the better books I've read in the last probably 10 years.
Is it in your voice? Did you read it? Did you do it?
I did just the first part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a good book. It really like I said before, it's more than just football.
Yeah.
It's about life. It's about transitioning. It's about people throw curves at you, and like I said before, I'm a big believer in fate. Things happen for reasons, and I think that book will kind of be.
Awesome. I'll come check that out.
It is awesome. So, thanks again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to send in a beer for us to try on the show, the link to do that is going to be in the description.
And a mug.
And a mug. Yes. Coach is taking that one. So,
cheers, Coach.
Cheers.
All right, let's land this plane.
That's the way it should be.
You can also get your football and merch in the link in the description. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys next time.